Hello, this is Julia Bushkova. I am continuing the topic of the left hand frame. In this video, I will address the other issues that do arise and hopefully the questions that you might have, different people might have. We all have different hands. We come in all shapes and sizes. Somebody's hand is wider, somebody's hand is longer, somebody's fingers are long, like mine, somebody's fingers will be shorter, and so on and so forth. What you want to know the most about your own hand before you go to the frame is the size of the hand, the length of your fingers, as compared to, I guess, the ideal proportions. The ideal proportion for the fingers, at least, I can tell you. For the hand, I'm not so sure exactly the ideal proportion, but for the fingers, the ideal proportion, of course, between the tip of the first finger, index finger, and the fourth finger is that slanted line will be slanted very little, okay? That would be completely ideal. So in this case, you will see that my pinky is above the last joint here, and the first finger and they're pretty even. Okay, that is very lucky if somebody has that hand. Most people don't. So for most people, it is a different proportion. And again, look for the slanted distance between tip and that tip of the index and the pinky. And if your slant is pretty steep, the angle is steep, that means that you will have to accommodate yourself in a different way than somebody whose distance is a bit different. Okay, so that, in my opinion, is the most important factor, number one. The other very important factor is how your pinky, I call it again, grows in the base joint of your hand. And here I will show you on my right hand. So right in here, you can see that my pinky is very turned into my hand. Okay, it almost wants to go in the middle. So functioning from the base joint, you can see the trajectory of the movement. It's not where I would want it to be on the fingerboard. Okay, so different people have the pinkies kind of set in that joint at the different angles again. There are some very fortunate ones, like for instance, Mr. Perlman. Itzhak Perlman is one of the very fortunate people whose angle here is very even, and the finger itself is quite long, so it's easier for him to see. We can see it, that easier for him to play. Okay, but for most of us, we're not so fortunate, and therefore we again have to take it into consideration. What we do, we first have to determine the height of your hand to the fingerboard. So if your fingers are shorter, or if your hand is smaller and fingers are not too long either, so you may need to be taller or higher. It is in comparison to the neck, or in relation rather to the neck. So you may want to be touching the neck right next to the bass joint, even on E string. And when you go on G string, probably even more so. However, I have very long first fingers, and if I go into this position, it will be very uncomfortable for me. Look what I will have to do. In order to have my good frame, look where my fingers are. They are extremely uncomfortable. I am going to actually soon collapse forward like this. Okay, so for people with long fingers, we want our hand to be down here. But my fourth finger is short, relatively short, relative to my first. Therefore, I want to be higher on this side, and so would you. So in other words, I would touch on my E string, but the side of the finger, of the index finger that touches the neck, is pretty much almost by this joint for me, by the middle joint. However, on G string, I'm much closer to my bass joint to be comfortable again for the fourth finger as well as for the first. Big difference. So for most people, when we are accommodating our fingers with the elbow, as we already know from previous videos. We also slide on the inside of the index finger as well. So some older methods and teachers sometimes were more general with this, just saying, oh, you're always touching here. No, we don't. That's outdated information, really, for most people. So we do slide here as well, so it changes. Fingers, where do we put the fingers exactly? It's pretty much, I think, no contest. To the first finger, we place the first finger more to the left side of the middle line to be touching slightly here or being very close. Second finger goes kind of almost in the middle, for some people in the middle, some people a little bit to the left side of the middle. Third, depending again on your own structure, will be either in the middle or a little bit on the right side, on the pinky side of the middle. The pinky will be very different for different people. For those for whom it kind of sits here turned inward, it's not advisable to try and torture yourself and put it like this. Like this would be my case. If I were to really put it on inside here, like again, some methods recommend, no. This is not one size fits all. So you need to go with your actually natural movement. So you need to see how your pinky wants to move, just like that. And you can, by the way, use this tool of resting your third finger and just seeing how you can move the pinky forward to still preserve the natural shape of it, not going absolutely straight. You never want to be straight with any fingers when you are doing any dexterity, okay? If you're want to play fast. So, how do people with kind of inward turned pinkies reach stretches? Yes, for some stretches I would actually, yeah, well, in my case, I would still be on the right side of the middle line where my string will be, just because my pinky grows this way. However, always, whichever pinky shape you have, always go from pinky to the back, especially if you stretch. So yes, with a stretch, you might feel that you will be more on the inside part, but still pretty much in the middle. However, we're talking about the frame. No, it will never happen. It will be right here. So another really important thing to remember at all times is that, of course, our fingers are functioning at the base joints. And it's very basic, so I would imagine everybody who watches this video already knows it. So in order for that to be so, we need to pay attention that no fingers open in the middle joints at all, so only from the base. So the last thing that I wanted to say is that you probably would be playing anything in the correct frame. I would recommend definitely to do Shradik number 1. The very first exercise and a really like first line of the first exercise, which is really a small scale in one position, open string, right? This really is your frame as it is in this exercise. Again, even though it starts goes from the first finger, first please set your hand thinking that the middle of that is really the middle, then the fourth finger, then the first, then start from the beginning. So that would be a little demonstration of the progression of the speed of the Shradik. And again, I would recommend to do the whole Shradik number 1, starting from slow tempo and accelerating, but preserving that frame that will enable you to play fast and clean. I hope this has been helpful. and you will like this video and subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet. I will see you all later.